Apparently we're live now, if I'm not mistaken. At least I hope so. Is things okay with the microphone and the camera? Yeah, things seem okay with the microphone and the camera. The mic is in an okay position at the moment. The center of the screen, I think. Eh. There we go. There we go. Right. Cool. Okay. Let's do it. We're good. Boom. Sup, Shredders? My name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SB live streams where today, for just $5, we will be reviewing songs on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you prefer. It can be wherever you prefer. I fucking hate that that keeps coming up. I need to turn that off during live streams. Luckily, I was covering the screen. And if we switch over to here, that's good. Where we're good to go. I think we got fishies. Yes, fishies. So if you like fishies, you come to the right place. They're animated fishies. So that's cool. We go to Ko-fi. And we don't do it here, Logan. Oh my gosh. You go here. Well, you can go to Ko-fi. I can't. Because I'm not submitting submissions. But you know what I mean. If you go to Ko-fi, link in the description, you can go there. I've also got some links down here. There is the YouTube channel on the left here. There is also the Discord, because the Discord, I don't really talk about the Discord at all. We have one. And then we also have a Patreon where you can get custom monthly music reviews and other things for just $12 a month, or you can support for $1 a month. But anyways, we have ourselves a new day. Hopefully, if you're watching this, you've had a good weekend and been taking care of yourselves. It is Tuesday, the 10th of September in New Zealand. And if we have a look at not news, because that's a dumpster fire, music news. Here we go. This is the music news. Here we go. So if we go through this, Ariana Grande applauds Megan Thee Stallion for encouraging people to vote for Kamala Harris. Cool. Scooter Braun speaks at vigil for slain hostages at Nova Music Festival exhibit. I'm sorry that we weren't loud enough. Oh yeah, that article. We've had a look at that article the other day for Donald Trump on Hart reschedules North American tours, concerts after Ann Wilson cancer scare. The Weeknd announces new single. Cool. Donald Glover postpones North American Childish Gambino tour dates to focus on my physical health. That's cool. Why LaRue's 2009 Bulletproof is appearing on the Hot Dance Electronic Songs Just TikTok. Yeah, there we go. A February pharmaceutical commercial and a July TikTok from Kodak Black have pushed it. Yep, half of it's TikTok anyways. So that's cool. Hollywood Bowl cancels Vance Joy show due to heat-related power outage amid record temperatures. Urian Retriever talks turning online hate into prize money and plans to work in the US. US Billboard Japan Woman in Music interview highlight. And a timeline of Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco's relationship. That's cool. I mean, I'm glad that they're happy. I'm genuinely glad that they're happy, man. They deserve happiness. Selena Gomez has been through stuff. I think for the most part, she's had a pretty clean record as well. I don't think she's gotten up to any mischief. Which is good. Music news. Jack White and Meg White hit Donald Trump with lawsuit. Oh, damn. Oh, damn, that's crazy. Is that why though? Wow. Oh, there we go. Seven Nation Army. There we go. So that's the in that they have there. The in that they have there is that Donald Trump used Seven Nation Army as, and that's yeah. I just got a email from a client, and you guys wouldn't have seen that, but they were late on payments, and they're really salty with me at the moment. And yeah, they They got told that the payment was due and they didn't put it through on time, and then they had to deal with the consequences of their actions. It's business, man. Over the last 13 years I've been teaching, occasionally you get clients, and I'm not going to mention names obviously, but sometimes clients just don't feel like they have to pay for stuff when you do a service for them. And it gets a little bit kind of like, how do I describe it? You want to do what's best for your company, and you've got to kind of just avoid taking it personally, because people have reasons for not paying for stuff, right? At the same time, as a responsible business owner, you've got to put your company's needs first, and you can almost certainly guarantee that if the positions were flipped, they would not have been happy that you wouldn't have paid on time. And if you had waited a day or two, like if you'd waited on that payment for longer than you should have, and if they just didn't like fill you in on stuff, you wouldn't like if the roles were reversed, you wouldn't expect them to be lenient. So yeah, when you run a business, you find that like a percentage of people will kind of take the piss a bit, but that just helps you to appreciate the people that don't. I cannot imagine what it'll be like for this situation here. With the white stripes, Jack White followed through with his recent promises to Donald Trump. Yeah, well, I hope that it goes somewhere. It's tricky. I know there's a bit of sort of like community talk over in the States and stuff like that, but I'm not entirely sure what that specifically correlates to. Nicki Minaj, Birdman, and more slam JC over Super Bowl halftime show. What did they do? Why are people unhappy? Slam Jeezy over Super Bowl halftime show. Not everyone is pleased with the fact Kendrick Lamar was picked for next year's performance. Why? Clearly, Kendrick Lamar is popular. Why is there an issue with him doing that? I don't understand it. It's very, very weird. Oh yeah, right. I think Blue Dinner Box at Dinner Hey last week was talking about the situation with this like replacement. Chester Bennington's son slams Linkin Park's new lineup. We trusted you to be the bigger, better person, and this is also behind a subscription. Jane Bennington claims LP co-founder Mike Shinoda has quietly erased his father's legacy following controversy around new singer Emily Armstrong's support of convicted rapist Danny Masterson. Sup, Blue Dinner Box? How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. We're actually learning about because you mentioned this last week. You mentioned the Linkin Park replacement. And apparently, like, there's some shenanigans afoot. There are some shenanigans. And I don't know a lot about it. Oh. Around new Emily Armstrong's support of convicted rapist Danny Masterson. Okay, that's completely clicked now. I completely get it. That's not great. I don't know why they would be talking about this when there is a lot of presence in social media right now. Even if they do support them with their heart and soul, you'd expect that there would be issues if you spoke about the support for a convicted rapist. You'd expect that you would want to talk about that, or is that done in the past? Chester Bennington's son, James, has slammed Linkin Park for hiring Emily Armstrong to replace his father as the group's lead vocalist following controversy surrounding her ties to the Church of Scientology and actor Danny Masterson. So Scientology is involved. That's a bit of a twist. I don't know how Chester would have felt about that. Rest in peace, Chester. Phenomenal vocalist. You had a good weekend, though, Blue Dinner Box? You been taking care of yourself? Hopefully you're well. Jane Bennington posted a series of Instagram stories highlighting in detail his issues. The current lineup directly aiming his comments at Mike Shinoda, who has, according to Bennington, restricted interactions on social media. Oh no. I mean, I'm glad that Childish Gambino is taking care of themselves. That's fantastic. Ellie Goulding joins 4 for In My Dreams, made from singers' magical voice notes. Heart reschedule, yep. So like there's a percentage of stuff that, as people have mentioned before, is just kind of repeated throughout, and they kind of like rejig stuff, and they kind of like... what can you talk about the project that you've got working on? What kind of project is it? Is it like a top secret one, or... BTS fans signed petition in support of Suga after DUI incident. Sup, Judith? I'm feeling okay today. It is a Tuesday, and this is my start to my this is the start to the afternoon for me. How about yourself, Judith? How are you doing today? Did you have a nice weekend? BTS fans signed petition to support Suga. So what are they supporting? Are they supporting the fact that Suga made a mistake and it's clear that it shouldn't necessarily destroy their career, or are they supporting Suga's ability to be able to get into DUIs? I mean, are you ready for some Gen Z music? Hint Billie Eilish. Yes, I am ready for some Gen Z music. I like Gen Z music. I think that the stuff we've heard so far from Charlie XCX has been really cool. I like Charlie XCX's stuff. Unironically, I do. I don't entirely understand where it's come out of, but they've just found this phenomenal niche in the music industry at the moment where they're just really making the most of it, and it's great. A collective of BTS fans around the world shared their message across social media platforms on Monday. It followed a weekend of online commentators stating that Suga should leave BTS. Why? People make mistakes. Like, it's if it hits someone, or if it's like a repeat thing, right? That's clearly a problem. That's a habit. Then that's going to cause dramas. But I don't know why you'd kick him just because they just if they made the same mistake, maybe. But like, people, yeah, doesn't justify it. But like losing your entire career because of that. People have kept careers after doing far worse. Judith struggling whether to get a cat. Struggling whether to get a cat. Okay, I reckon cats are awesome. Cats are awesome. I have a cat. Her name is Nushka, and she's a tuxedo cat. And I'm gonna see if I can find what photo of her to show you guys, just so you guys can see it. I don't know why I have to do this. So I don't know if you guys can see this very well. Oh no, that's a mess. That's a mess. Nope, not that one. That's Nushka. She's my cat. She's very cute. Isn't she? She's got a little bow tie and a little bell and stuff like that. So I am an advocate for cats. I think if you're renting, it can be difficult to get a cat if you feel like you might have to move. So like, if there's lots of cat-friendly areas that you get at rental at, cats can be cool. Because it would be like sad if you kind of like had to move and then give the cat up. But if you have like your house and you're going to be in your apartment or whatever for like a long time, or you're in a safe living environment where like things don't change much and a cat will be chill, get a cat. Just make sure you get scratch posts if you're not aware of that. I'm sure you're aware of this horror stories of cats scratching stuff. Cats will do that. And if you're getting a kitten, you got to sacrifice at least one thing to the kitten so that they learn not to do it again. Like for me, when I got a kitten, I sacrificed a pair of like $200 headphone cables with Nushka. And that was my sacrifice. And then Nushka learned not to do that again. And I have managed to keep all my headphone cables since. So good luck with the decision. I'm sure you'll make the right one. Shinyida says, the song I want to share today may be copyrighted again. That is possible. By the way, hello, Shinyida. Welcome to the live stream. Shinyada says, today I eavesdropped on the program at work again. Well, hopefully work is going well for you, Shinyada. And it might get copyrighted again. It's just one of those things. Like, if the video gets blocked on YouTube, like completely, I'm more than like during the live stream, because last time it took me a while to get the live stream up when it got copyright blocked. We got there eventually, right? But if it does get copyright blocked on stream, we can figure that out. It's just, yeah. We'll see how it goes, yeah? Either way, we get to enjoy it here, and it'll be good. But let's have a look. Do we have any requests so far? I think we do. We have 2. So the first of these is from Dinner Hey. Thanks for your request. By the way, just to confirm, when I said you have to sacrifice a pair of cables or something like that, it's not. It is very different from reptiles. I didn't mean to actually sacrifice the cable. I just meant that invariably when you get a kitten, something is going to get destroyed once they learn what they can and can't do, and that's just, it would be something. But if you get them toys and teach them to destroy those things, you're going to have a much better time. One time I went volunteering work at Cat Shelter and the kittens just use my cat. They do. Yeah, Blue Dinner Box. They do tend to use people as trees because, to be honest, as I'm sure you can imagine, human beings are just massive cats and we're just massive legs of trees. You know, it's just one of those things. Good on you for working at a... Good on you for volunteering, though, Blue Dinner Box. That's fantastic. That's a beautiful thing. Proud of you. So what does Dinner Hey have for us today? Chihiro. Billie Eilish. All right, Dinner Hey, let's go. Let's do the first track for today. Thank you for your request. You won't forget my name. Chihiro by Billie Eilish. Not tomorrow. Kinda strange. Feeling sorrow. I got change. You could borrow. When I come back around, when I know what to say. Not today. Maybe tomorrow. Open up the door. Can you open up the door? I know you're very low key, isn't it? You can't cope with anymore. You told me it was war. Said you'd show me what's in store. I hope it's not for sure. Hello, Jacob. How are you today? Beautiful singer. Like the beautiful voice. So you seated at the counter when I looked away. So you turned around, but it wasn't your face. Said I need to be alone now. I'm taking a break. How come when I returned you were gone away? Very rise with the sequences that sits on the sides there. Really interesting how it just pauses like that, eh? Very sub layers in the back and the higher end. This is a really interesting track from Billie Eilish, Taro Chihiro. I'm not entirely sure what it's about. Blue Dinner Box says that it's the name comes from Studio Ghibli's movie Spirited Away, and I've watched the movie. I vaguely remember the plot. You got the feeling that the story is about someone kind of trying to gauge the seriousness of the connection they have to another. That person's taken their love away from her. And I think there's potentially consequences if this stuff gets too serious. They don't really know each other anymore. It's a really interesting song. It's quite mature. And I have a lot of respect for Billie Eilish for making stuff like that. I was aware that they were a great singer before I heard this. I mean, they did that James Bond theme song, if I'm not mistaken, but they've also done other stuff. Even Bad Guy, like the vocal style for that is quite effective and relevant for the style of music it is. We have a clear understanding of how to sing and how to emote, and we're very comfortable with the head and chest voice and going up into our higher ranges and making it very kind of dazzling. And the track itself features a wide range of different instruments, not just, kick and bass, drums and bass, with an interesting sort of like snare tone that actually has bits of variety with the different ways the snares are interpreted with different sort of like swing fills and stuff. It's got a kind of bouncy groove to it, but it's so low key because of the filtered synthesizers, the pads, and the others on the sides, the synth sequences that kind of build over time. And there's just the general funkiness to it without getting too bright. The only, it's kind of like we're trying to find the answer, but we're sort of surrounded in darkness. That's the impression I get from this track. I think it's a tremendous example of Billie Eilish's range as a performer, as a musician. And I want to hear more from Billie Eilish like this. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering is prolific. I think it's wonderful. Adults losing their personalities after becoming part of the society. Thank you, Judith. I appreciate that. That kind of gives me more of an idea about this. Is it more like society has taken that away and that we're kind of being kept from going through that door to sort of find ourselves or something like that? There's gonna be consequences if we try and go through that door. I feel like it's misty and reverb soaked partly because of the mystery surrounding the piece itself. I do remember the environmentalism and capitalism criticisms, and I think that they're relevant and both in the movie and they're interesting comments in general. They are just as relevant now as ever. Thank you, though, to Dinnerhay for that request from this track from an actor named Billie Eilish, Taro Chihiro. There's a lot of different individual components that came together and various bits there, and varying stages there, going back to a common hook line that is mesmerizing, as Jacob said, it's hypnotic. Without trying to sort of like there's not a lot of positivity within it. There's wonderment and curiosity, but also a lot of sadness through the chord choices, the key signature, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm glad I got a chance to listen to it. Thank you for that. So that was Chihiro. The first track for today. What do we have next? Do we have another track? I think that Studio Ghibli stuff is phenomenal. I was initially keen to go to the Studio Ghibli studios when I went to Japan. However, to go to the studios was like $300. Hit me hard and soft. Yeah, it's yeah. There's many different ways you could take that, and I think that within itself is quite clever. Yeah. The next track for today is from Shinyida, and this is a piece which we're going to check out now. Thank you for the requests so far. I think there's another two in the queue after this. Ah.
So
okay, fascinating.
you think you know Wix, but do you really?
No, let me watch the. You're not gonna let me, are you? I don't want to watch an unskippable ad for 1.5 minutes. What if I close this and I just like reload the page as like a separate thing? It's an unskippable minute-long ad. Nah, I'm out of respect for Shinya. We're gonna see. I've got the way that I think Opera gets around it is the person still gets the ad revenue in these situations. So like Linkin Park is still getting ad revenue. But then what would happen is that I just don't have to listen to it. So yeah. I would get YouTube Premium. Potentially. That would probably make sense just out of convenience. It's also $30 a month. It used to be 10, but then YouTube were like, actually, if we make the ads more annoying, we can charge more. All right, let's do it though. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Come on.
So you think you know Wix, but do
No.
Your blades are sharpened with precision.
And we're back in third.
No. It's absolute purgatory. They're putting double ads at the start of the video. Double ads. Ah. This is a 30-second one, so maybe it'll go by after this. I'm just going to have to leave it, though. We can get through this. If anything, you know, at least you guys know what Grammarly is, so everyone's winning. Ironically, I should have just... I'm just going to wait. No hands on the keyboard. Oh. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. You show me that video. You show me that video. You
so
show
you
me...
think you know Wix, but do you really?
Nah. No, I didn't. Stop. What happened? Where'd it go?
It's good to see you again.
Dude. I managed to avoid it by going out of theater mode and putting it into default. So this is, by the way, just before we continue, this is... Yeah, no, Emily Armstrong's quite good. Thank you. This is the Linkin Park with the Emptiness Machine, the new track, I assume. from Linkin Park off of their album From Zero, the new album available on November 15th. I think the song's about buying into a false reality, wanting to be part of something and just realizing it's not really it and kind of falling prey to that. That's my understanding of what the track's about. I only wanted to be part of something. They're a great singer. They're confident on stage, they have presence. Mike Shinoda did well with the intro at the start. I thought that was a smart idea. And they harmonized well with each other. The vocal fry in some of those harder sections was fantastic, and it illustrates that we'll probably be able to handle some of the stuff, not in the same way as Chester, but some of the stuff that Chester was doing in earlier albums. And I think that it would have been tremendously difficult to have found a singer who could be able to fill a similar role to what... They can't be Chester, right? But a similar role to that. Just because Chester was just so unique as a singer. Like, that was so fundamental to Linkin Park as a concept, as a theory, so to speak. But they sang well. The song itself was fairly... It was relatively conservative. I think it's coming out at a time where a lot of the kind of guitar-based drum and sort of key elements that we had within the piece are pretty commonplace in a lot of rock and metal now. And they're in a comfortable niche. And I think that potentially they needed to play it a bit safer with this one, simply because if they alienated themselves too much from the sound they had in original or earlier albums, or if they tried to do too much of the kind of lighter stuff like they did in their later stuff, and maybe wouldn't have been as hard-hitting. And to be fair, I think rock and new metal, there's been a bit of a resurgence recently where people are kind of appreciating the harsher textures and stuff like that a bit more now. Across the board, man. Even in the country movement, it's like a situation where they are wanting sort of more kind of... actually, no, I'm going to take myself back on that. That's a tricky statement to make. I was going to say realer textures, but I think any music where you're putting your heart and soul into it is real, regardless of whether they're digital or synthetic analog or synthetic elements. So that's just a stupid thing to say on my part. So I'm glad that I kind of did, but kind of didn't. Anyways, moving on. Great singer. The track itself made sense structurally. The guitar lines with the power chords and the octaves were fine. The drum parts were intriguing. So the sort of piano-y kind of synthy bits we had there were an interesting sort of sub-layer there. And the bass line was grooving along. And there was some interesting sort of drum grooves we had there with fill transitions, but again, nothing too over the top. It seemed like more of a kind of an accessible, kind of familiar approach from Linkin Park that were trying to get people kind of gelling with the new member of the band. And I think it was cool. I know there's a bit of controversy about her at the moment from what I was reading earlier on, but I don't really... it sounds like it's going to be one of those situations where you're potentially going to have to separate the singer from the music from the person, potentially, depending on how you go, depending on whether it continues to devolve or not. But anyways, thank you, Shinyada, for that request of this track from Linkin Park titled The Emptiness Machine. Jacob says Chester had such a unique vibe. Good to see the band still going. I feel you on that. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great too. I'm surprised that they did keep going. I think that it would have been good to maybe start a new project after Chester left, but I also have to respect the fact that we're trying to do, because there are people that are interested in hearing more of it, right? You can do it. There we go. Good job. Shenyuda says, I have a YouTube membership and I don't need to enjoy ads. I'm happy for you. Honestly, it would probably make sense for me to buy a YouTube membership because the amount of time I spend watching ads, that it's probably like more expensive than if I was like in like a month, than if I was just to get the premium thing and just pay $30 a month for it. Although that is reprehensibly fucking ridiculous pricing. But regardless, YouTube are trying to make money. They're only a small company. Alphabet is a small company. This track is from Shinyuda. It's titled Yellow Ghost Swing. So let's listen to this as well. Boom. Yeah, let's go. Thank you, Shinyuda, for this one as well. This is really kind of... Ghost Swing by Yellow. I love the jazzy grooves he puts in place, eh? They're fantastic.
条件没资格筛选，他说抱歉，满足了3个心愿，才算轮回。当我醒来，始终的灵魂还来不及合拍，还缺了一半。在交界处的路口，插进最后一碗银锅，好保留。这些他划过的弧线，为我烙印个证明的罪。
This video is kind of wild, though, isn't it?
Let's get fucking roll. 躯体是身在交换，月光跟着节奏摇摆。祈祷的人别偷懒，不录的话通常会比较灿烂。不能重来，熟悉的感觉慢慢将我包围，是我活该。But now you're dragging me down. 在交界处的路口，插进最后一碗银锅，好保留。这他划过的弧线，为我烙印个证明的罪。Can't find the rock and roll. Love never trying to fight. Let's get fucking roll. Ghost will never die.
Is there a flanger on that bass tone? What? What is this song? Because this was Ghost Swing by Yellow. I'll go back a little bit. I'm like, you have a vocal performance that is captivating, and we're comfortable in our hidden chest voice and communicate really well. And, you know, we're being dragged down by this. The lyrics are here. Taste the last bowl of cause and effect, the intersection, no reservations. It is a curse, it is a test. Let's get funk and roll. Bars into the road are usually brighter. Don't look back. I can't come back. Ghost Swing Never Die. Okay, so what do we know? The track is potentially about Okay, so basically it's about someone wanting to get like a wish granted, and then they did, and then like maybe that wish didn't turn out exactly the way they did, or maybe it was like a monkey's paw and they didn't necessarily there was like a catch or something like that, and then they've just kind of gotten into this mode where they got that wish anyways and they're trying to make the most out of their life, and like rock funk and roll and Ghost Swing Never Dies. Yeah, is that it? It is a blessing and a test. You know, taste the last bowl of cause and effect of the junction. Is it that we're overcoming that challenge and we're just gonna like do it right or die with it? Is that the kind of vibe from this? The music video is a fever dream. I'm not quite sure what the music video is. It's inherently interesting, but I'm not sure what it means. The track at 344 with Huang Zhuan's vocals on top. Again, a stellar singer. And this dragging them down. You get that feeling, like the vocals aren't an issue at all. The vocals are fantastic. I think if you knew the words, maybe it would make more context and the sense would be there. I can't really connect what's going on with, like, is it like people watching him on television? Is it like talking about his like experience on the shows and stuff like that, and like how he is now versus before he went on those talent shows? Is that it? Oh, I think it's linked to his recent movie because in the movie, Huang Xuan plays a god of death who helps people realize their wishes. Thank you, Shinyida. That makes sense. All right, so the guitar lines on the side, the bass line, the funkiness of that, but up bum bum, and like the accents there, and the drum line, which just kind of continues pushing forward. I mean, like the guitars are so intense in some parts of the track there with the distortion there, and there's distortion on the vocals as well, and it's very kind of in your face and aggressive, and it almost lets you know, hey, even if I'm recruiting, you're going to fulfill your wish. This might not necessarily end the way you want it to. And like you have like the claps and everything like that, and little clicks there, people kind of jamming along to it. It's kind of jazzy, but it's also kind of rocky at the same time with the guitars. It's a bit of a mindfuck, isn't it? I appreciate the work put in to try and make it special, though. It's like we're getting just a little bit edgier with it. And it's those kind of harsher textures there with that bit of darkness there. We can already do some smooth jazz kind of stuff with like the old basses and kicks and sort of getting the guitar parts on the sides there. And the organs, bam, 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 kind of working those chromatics there, adding a bit of sort of darkness to it. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering that is commercial tier, to be fair. But yeah. Let's go tap back through it. And then the Foley work as well with the machines and everything like the end with like the arcade and stuff like that is cool as well. It is a good experience if you have headphones, to be fair. I'd need another go at listening through this from start to finish to kind of really feel this out. I think that the video is just, it's quite a lot. The video is quite a lot. And I think there are two different experiences you have with this track. The first is with the video, and the second is with the song by itself. I think it would be different with the two, but I also appreciate the fact that we're encouraging people to have those different experiences in order to be able to sort of fully appreciate the work involved. And if there are hidden meanings, that's totally fine. The English pronunciation of Huang Zhuan's song title happens to be the Chinese pronunciation of shit luck. Thank you to Shinyida, by the way, for this track, Go Swing from Yellow. It's a great song. I liked the dynamic range, the difference between the sort of more sort of smooth parts with the clapping and the basses and everything like that. And then like the contrast between that and the distortion on the guitars and the vocals adding for a bit of edginess there and that kind of weighing me down part. There's clear sort of exasperation there. But it's almost like it's too cool to really sort of get itself down too much, you know? Like there's that sleekness there that I appreciate. Hopefully that makes sense. Thank you to Shinyida for this request. I feel like that was a tricky one for me to review, but I nonetheless appreciate the effort put in by all parties involved. And it's great that they're doing movies. It's great that they're doing movies, man. That's awesome. So hang on. I haven't actually marked those off as completed, have I? It's kind of bluesy, that track. In a sense. It's kind of bluesy and jazzy. It's gotten to the point, just before I finish, that it's sort of for Yellow, it's become inherently artistic. They've made a lot of really phenomenal tunes, and now they're specifically working towards different aesthetics now that they want to commit. And it really is sort of an audiovisual experience. We have Jacob Good though here with their request. Thank you for your request, Jacob. Shinyudo says, I can't provide the artistic conception and lyrics because I can't hear what it wants to express. Fair. That's fair. Blue Dinnerbox says shit luck is more like jackpot in Chinese, but I don't know what exactly he means. Neither do I. But it's okay. I think it is to do with the movie. I think it's about the blessing being a curse or something along those lines. But this next track is from Jacob. Yeah. Hang on, no, it's that one, isn't it? You go here. This is Empire Ants, Gorillas featuring Little Dragon. This is very chilled out in comparison, isn't it? Those keys are really pretty, though.
Oh, joys are as the sun has come again to hold you, sailing out the doldrums of the week.
Beautiful combination of elements.
Space out of mind with me, where the emptiness we leave behind on one rising blows all the shadows far away. The falling of the whole empire is here to hold you, rolling out and haunted till it sleeps.
So gentle with the keys, synths, guitars. Great development and crescendo into this part.
Little memories marching on your little feet, working the machine. Say, will it spin? Will it soar? My little dream, working the machine, soon like a wave, and fast far. Closing in on the moon,
Great contrast between the A and B sections and this, the two halves.
little memories, your little feet, working the machine. Say, will it spin? Will it
And a synth solo at the end to sort of fade things out. But the fade out at the end, nice. So this was Empire Ants featuring Little Dragon from Gorillaz and Little Dragon. I like the lyrics. I think initially it's about someone saying, hey, the world is crashing down on you, fall through space out of mind with me. So is this about like kind of soaring away from like the troubles that we have and like the sun holding us as we kind of glide up into the sky? Little feet working the machine, say, will it spin, will it soar? Like a wave that will pass, will fall and closing in on you. A little dream working the machine. So they work in the machine and that's causing the pass, soon like a wave that pass, will fall and closing in on you though going on. Man, there is some real poetry going on here. I'm not sure what Empire Ants have to do with it. There's like the Empire Ants are the people work in the machine. Oh, I get it. It's basically about like, hey, things are gonna like the warmth at the start with the guitars, the keys, and everything like that are kind of letting you know, hey, like the sun has risen, things are okay at the moment. We're gonna kind of get through this. And then if the whole world is crashing down on you, fall through space out of mind with me. I get it. So basically, if things kind of go down, we can get through this together. We can go through space. We can work that machine. The waves will pass us by. And then we'll kind of continue to sort of like, we'll be okay, basically. I think that's what it is. I think the warmth, again, of the keys, the synths, the pianos, and everything at the start, how kind of low key it is. It just feels like a warm, cozy blanket. And a lot of them are reinforcing the same chord progressions and sort of like octave ranges there, just sort of splitting across the stereo field in different positions. And there's depth to the mix with the layers and sub layers involved. And you have the vocalist from like the guy, I think he was in Blur, the singer of the Gorillaz. And that's poignant. And it's very gentle, like a lot of the other instruments within the arrangement. And there are some interesting sort of note choices there with a bit of reverb on there to sort of soften it. And then, of course, you have that split half with the drop, as Jacob Good says, perfect beat drop, just killing it, where you have the bass come in and there's a chord note accent on the grooves of the kit. And it's about that machine actually going into work. It's not just about talking about the fact that things are going to be okay and we'll get through it together. We're now working that machine with a little feet and moving forward like that. I think it's about Empire Ants just kind of continuing to build regardless of the conditions they're in. That's my interpretation of it. I thought both singers did quite well. They didn't overcomplicate their vocal performances. They were tuneful and beneficial to the overall listening experience. And it was pleasant to hear them sort of speak their truth. Whether it was like the way they modulate those sequences there to suit the chord progressions, the way that we have the strings in there as well in that second section there. It's still quite a bright mix that mimics a lot of what was really kind of pretty about the first section. It just adds a little bit of kind of spice to it, I suppose, a bit of a groove to it that we didn't have because of a lack of percussion at first instance. Really well handled. This seems like a really incredible album. I've never listened to it in full, but it makes me kind of want to do that. The studio recording, mixing, mastering is commercial grade. No complaints there with the way things are set up in the stereo field and frequency spectrum. Leveling is good. And the vocal performance, they have great presence in the mix. So thank you, Jacob, for this request of Empire Ants. Haven't listened to Little Dragon before, but they're quite good as well. The Gorillaz have quite a lot of range to what they do, don't they? They do seem to have quite a lot of range. But we've got Judith next. Anyways. Some of these songs today have been kind of tricky, man. I don't mind trickiness. I feel like a pressure to try and figure it out immediately when I prefer to have more time, but I also know that if I don't make an effort to try and figure it out, it looks like I don't really necessarily care, and I do care. I figure that if you get at least half of these when you're thinking about them for a few minutes, if they're not completely on the nose, I think you're doing okay. But this is Bjork. This is Judith's request, thank you Judith, of Courtship off of the Utopia album from Bjork. I don't think I've listened to Bjork.
He turned me down, I then down turned another, who then down turned her. The paralyzing juice of rejection, his veins full of lead.
They're fascinating.
Left with loving what he lost more than what he has. My snake skin
Okay, Heartbeat.
cold in the dark, but warms up in the light. I then upturned a green-eyed giant who upturned and entered me. Will we stop seeing what unites us, but only what differs?
I've heard that Bjork has some really out there stuff. Everything that I'm seeing on my screen, everything that I'm hearing screams that this is quite alternative music and it's kind of experimental, and I really dig that. I am infinitely fascinated. Infinitely fascinated, dude. I feel like my brain is melting a little bit, but I like it.
Trust myself to re-archive my love historic stream. We set a new day.
This is one of those albums that grows on you as you go along, isn't it? I mean, it's definitely interesting. just the sheer creativity. And it's just like birds. How the flutes go around the side there. Wow. So this was 7 years ago. Oh boy. Oh, man. That's wild. I've never really listened to Bjork's stuff before. I've seen the interview where they talk about a television. And it's so interesting. It's clear that Bjork, as a musician, sees the world very differently to a lot of people. It's a very personal, unique kind of... It's exquisite. I think this is about people figuring out if they want to date or do stuff. You know, the ghosts of old loves hovering around his orifices. I mean, like, clearly there's like potentially at least a sexual element to it, that we're aware that maybe we downturned them and then they turned us, and then maybe we will actually get together. And then inevitably, I think in the third section, we're kind of just wanting to do something with them when we're trusting that whatever happens, it will work out. So the first stage is the rejection. The second stage of, hey, maybe we should actually maybe do something here. And then the third stage is, yeah, okay, so we've done it now. I'm just going to trust this will work out. And then you have the last section where there's animals that are kind of chirping in the forest, and you kind of, that's their interpretation of like two birds courting one another. That's my take on it. The vocals are great. We have kind of unusual ways of pronouncing some of the words there, and the different ways that we hold them are, they're definitely a vibe. Like, I think we aren't necessarily trying to kind of keep it kind of clean cut with the way we go between syllables and different parts of it. We're happy to hang on to things to kind of allow whatever kind of time seg or rhythm section we have to sort of kind of hoist itself over to the next bit. This track predominantly featured flutes, and they were there for most of it, and they were very intense flutes. We had bum 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 bum. We had harmonies there for a lot of this track, and they went from the left to right sides of the stereo field, almost like it was the birds singing around us. We had unusual percussion as well. It was kind of like almost like kind of a plucked percussion. We had bass lines as well, and we also, you know, we had like a thick bass line even at the start of it that was relatively subtle, but now that I'm listening to it, is a lot fuller sounding. And so you have those flutes, the bass and the low, and then you have the kind of percussion is a bit more low key at the start. But I think the second section there, it gets a little bit kind of more intense as you go along, with some kind of distorted kind of splutters and stuff like that. She puts heavy accents on keywords. Yeah, I think that's potentially that's definitely relevant as well. There's a real kind of more dramatic focus to this music, where it kind of making it seem more than just a performance, because we're making it a little bit less easy listening, ironically, because we're trying to make it easier to understand the important bits. I like the fact that we're not using traditional percussion and drums. It makes it more sort of experimental sounding and more kind of unique because of that. I don't think having a full-on kit would have necessarily helped this track. It's very stop-starting, kind of jittery and stuff like that throughout. It's more of kind of like a continuous sort of theme there that just kind of simmers throughout the track there, with varying layers on top. And it's like there's a kick focus there. There's a kick focus, and there's lots of quick kicks, but there's not an entire kit there. And we kind of continue to build and sort of slow crescendo as we go through the piece. And at the end, you're just invariably left with this feeling of, we went through that courtship together. And I like the fact that we get more dramatic with the vocals as we go along. There's more intensity with a lot of those words that are put forward. And yeah, no, I think that I could happily listen to more of Bjork's stuff with the proviso that it is going to be a lot of it like this. And I like the fact that it was more of an analog kind of old school acoustic recording style there. We weren't trying to sort of sterilize or overcomplicate the way that the music was recorded or mixed or mastered. It sounded commercial grade, but it had kind of like an old school kind of glow to it and warmth there. It wasn't muted. Yeah, very subtle kicks. Yeah, they are. They're not like kind of 808s and kind of doof, you know. Those are my thoughts on it. I feel like I'm going to continue to ramble if I say more. I'd need more time with it to figure out the intricacies there, but it's utterly fascinating. Thank you to Judith for putting this forward. I appreciate it. This track from an act named Bjork titled Courtship. I think we have a couple more of these to go for today, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, we have Rufo and then Paul's 7931. Paul says her arrangement is so interesting. By the way, welcome to the live stream, Paul. It is. And some people compare Bjork with Kate Bush. I mean, I haven't heard enough of Kate Bush to really... I'm not familiar with Kate Bush. I'm not really familiar with Bjork, but I'm going to take people's words for it, as people who have listened to them more will probably have more of an accurate opinion on it. I'm glad that I'm not alone, though, Judith. I appreciate that. Blue Dinner Box says Bjork's work influenced a lot of artists. I also wouldn't be surprised by that. I wonder if it influenced Skrillex's later stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. But Rufo! Hello, Rufo! Yeah. This is for Rufo, this next request. It is from Sheena Ringo on Spotify. Cool, so let's do that. Now. I did enjoy the last song we had from Sheena Ringo in the last live stream. So it's good to hear more. But thank you, Rufo, for this. Ooh. Kind of jazzy, isn't it? Midnight is pure. Cool. Keywork's pretty phenomenal. I like how the brass takes a backseat when the vocals are in. Oh, that snare work though. Such a complex arrangement. Great use of a bit of space there. Try to call and response between the key and brass elements. So this was a great track. I think this song may have come out a little bit earlier in Sheena Ringo's career. This came out in 2001. Just looking at the album art or the single art for it, they look a bit younger there, if that is Sheena Ringo there. This is Midnight is Pure from an act named Sheena Ringo. I think that the I'm not sure what the song is about. Judith has said the envy of the song gives a spy movie vibe, so I would assume therefore it's a spy movie thing potentially. And that's fine. What do we want? What do I want to say about this? I thought the vocal performance was tremendous. Clear, sort of solid vocal technique there. Very comfortable in her hingiest voice. Distinct ideas for the verse and chorus sections, etc. Sheena Ringo nailed it in this take there. Great first impression if this is the first one of her tracks you'd listen to, and I'm sure if you understood the language natively, you'd have a fantastic time with it, or like have an even deeper understanding of it. I don't know about this one. I think in the sense that I like it a lot. There's a lot of constant things happening. It's not a criticism, because there are points where we kind of slow down, or there's breaks or switches in the groove, the percussive elements there, different unison notes or different like unison rhythms between different parts there. We have breaks, we have a saxophone solo. Structurally, it's fantastic from start to finish. It's an incredibly well-written piece of music with a lot of intricate elements there that really do kind of seg and nichely and amalgamate really neatly with each other. I don't have any complaints about the actual way it was written itself. It's just a lot to take in, but at the same time, I think that they've just managed to find a equilibrium between how busy they wanted the songwriting to be versus the listening experience. There's a lot going on with the different sort of melodies on the right hand of the keys there in that upper range there, and the extended chords we have in certain positions. The drums as well are full of vigor and life there, and punch forward and move the groove forward really in a way that's very satisfying. The bass line sort of is respectful to the root notes and keeps pushing us forward in a way. Dun, 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 dun. It's almost sort of like a scarish kind of feel to the offbeats there. And I like that. I like that a lot. I think that there's a lot to appreciate there. I think that if, you can combine those jazzy and scarish elements there in a way that's quite satisfying as per this track. The brass, though, for me, is one of the stars of the show. I love that we are trying to... We had saxophone solos and they're quite well voiced there, and it was a great foil to what Sheena Ringo was doing on the mic. And again, the brass were nice sort of call and responses to some of the piano parts as we go through the thing. The theme overall, again, does sound like a spy movie. It does, yeah, that melodic motif there does kind of signal a bit of danger, and it does sound like a spy movie theme, to be fair. So they nail that aesthetic there really well. It's tricky because you can't say that scale is the spy movie scale, right? Or that chord progression is the spy movie one, because movies have instantiated that. So you kind of got to compare it to the actual medium itself. But studio recording, mixing, and mastering, this was stellar. It's a great copy. Well done to Sheena Ringo here with Midnight is Pure, and thank you to Rufo for your request here. I enjoyed that a lot. So that is completed. So who do we have next? Are there more to do? There are more to do. There are 3 more. So Paul7931 here has got a request. Thank you for requests. So just for your requests, both of them, Paul, as we're going to be doing 2 in a row. I may have commented on this earlier, just in case. I've seen people compare Ringo Sheena and Bjork. The range there, I would be surprised if there weren't people influencing one another. I think when you get to a certain level of experimentation, there are people that kind of get related to one another because they're being experimental. I would personally say, from what little I've heard of, Bjork, that with Sheena Ringo, a lot of Sheena Ringo's stuff is kind of big band, kind of jazzy, kind of rocky stuff. I think that's really cool. Don't get me wrong. I don't have an issue with that at all. Oh, so that's where that is gone. Nah, but oh no, I broke it. That's what's causing the issue. All right, nah, it's cool. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna have to fix something after this. Whereas Bjork is more kind of like, again, but I haven't listened to enough of Bjork to really sort of be able to feel out or get an opinion, so I'm going to take people's words for it. But this track from Paul7931, let's get into that, eh? Yeah. Yeah. Is Kevin Penkin, Princess and the Village. No. That was weird. That was very weird, wasn't it? Yay! Hikaru Utada wouldn't surprise me, Blue Dinner Box, to be fair. That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, this is Paul7931's request for Princess in the Village by Kevin Penkin. Hand drums? Oh, that synth is sexy, man. I love the portamento on it. Well, the piano lines are wonderful. The pauses are effective. And vocals at the end, nice. I don't really know how to take this one. I mean, I like it. That was Kevin Penkin's Princess in the Village. I think that it's really heartfelt with the strings at the start. It's an instrumental piece for the most part. I know there were vocals at the end, but they are more of a sort of an instrumental melodic layer on top, as I understand it. You had this slow, really kind of almost visceral tone to the strings. It was gorgeous, but it was raw. And it danced around the frequency spectrum with things surrounding in the stereo field. You then had some kind of hand drums that came in there, kind of adding a sense of groove and pace to it, slowly developing it. I think there were keys from the start as well, eh? Yeah, they were supportive at the start with the right hand, but then later on we had more of a sort of a dedicated solo section and melody to the keys. That were a nice sort of switch over or change over from some of the string elements we had initially. It's like we're going through different chapters of a chapter, if that makes sense. Like it's chapter to subchapter, and I like the movement between different tempos. That it was that tempo or not, sort of fixed in a certain position. Made it seemed a lot more organic. The chord note kicks we had come in later on with the drums were a great sort of foil as well. Some of the filtering we had going on with, especially with that synth work with the portamento in the middle section, was gorgeous. There are a lot of really cool sounds here that reinforce the overall harmonies within the mix in a rather, it's not a complicated bass line and not even necessarily a complicated chord progression at any point. It's just more the certain instruments fulfilling different sort of core functionalities that when sort of stuck together or left by themselves as per the keys at the end where there were spaces and then things picked up a little bit. You kind of imagine someone moving in time with that. There's a bit of animation that is suggested because of the decisions that were made in that respect. I think it's a really, and it's an intriguing piece of music that does sound like it's made for a TV series. It's definitely not a song. And I think that you do need to write music differently if you're writing for like a TV show or movie than if you're writing for like for just, there are different mediums. And that's often one of the sort of criticisms, I think, of modern movies, arguably, is that often we rely on famous songs to sell us on what a soundtrack could, if that makes sense. It's like the famous songs are used so that people have a song they can vibe to without necessarily wanting to take the risk of making original music and maybe making something that's arguably more sort of like a little bit less. It's debate, of course. There's people who love that and people who don't. I don't know. I'm 50-50. It depends on the relative kind of the functionality of the song with it. If it's artistically done or it's funny or whatever, like the Deadpool movies is fine. But anyways, I think it's a really well written piece there that never overstays its welcome. Plenty of change and development throughout there. I'm not sure what the overall context is, but I nonetheless appreciate the work into making an interesting piece and song. And I think Kevin Penkin has it going on. So thank you, Paul7931, for that request. The commercial. The studio, studio production, recording, mixing, mastering was perfect. It sounded like it was made in the big studio. They absolutely smashed it. Really happy with that. They really know what they're doing. I think you'd need the whole album, start from finish, to really get like a full idea of the concept, but I appreciate regardless that they're trying to set that mood there like that. We got another track though from Paul. The second one here is from Oh No, Oh Yes. Track number 2 for today. I'm just gonna make sure I didn't miss anything, right? Yeah, again, like I legitimately feel as if when that synth entered in that middle section, kind of like with the York song, you are starting a new sort of chapter within that. It's meant to be a different mood and occurred there, which can be the benefit of having that's you really need that with instrumentals to be able to give a sense of direction and pace to the piece. If you don't have vocals, people can often get lost, and you either want people to get lost in the ether with gradual movement, or you want people to move with the music. So, as in know which direction to go in. So this is titled "Oh No, Oh Yes," the second track for today. What do we have? And apparently, Paul7931 says that I'd heard of Catavity before. Which is cool. I would again. I want to listen to more of this stuff. I might do that in my own time if not here. It's cool. It's. I'd probably also want to see the TV show to be fair. But this is Akina Nakamori with "Oh No, Oh Yes." So let's go. Let's do it. Oh, that feels nostalgic for some reason. Thank you, Paul, for this as well. Beautiful backing vocals as well as the mains. Dreamlike, innit? And how they come together is just so satisfying, right? Ah, saxophone solo, great foil. So like, I feel like I was really enjoying this track up until the last part, and I still like it. This is from Akina Nakamori, titled "Oh No, Oh Yes." I think that this track, I'm not sure what the track is about. It doesn't have lyrics here. The little microphone thing behind me is grayed out that you can't see there. But what is Paul? What is this track about? What is this track about? Is it about people saying oh no and oh yes to stuff, like agreeing and not agreeing to things? But the vocals were palatable. I really appreciated the texture and timbre, the performance in general from Akina Nakamori on the mic as the mains. Really distinct voice. They're very gentle in the mix. The slapback delay, the kind of echo we have on it, sort of reinforced it more and add this kind of wispy, kind of ghostly tone that made it seem kind of like old timey and kind of, it was kind of cool. It was like a staple for the time. There was kind of fashionable to have that kind of delay or kind of reverb on the voice there to kind of give it that kind of wispy texture. But the backing vocalists on the side as well had that as well, and they were a great sort of like foil to go alongside each other. So yeah, that we handled that really well. I think that what happened with the track with the structure of it was that we had a great sense of like transfer between verses and choruses, and there was a sense of overall dynamic consistency throughout. We had an aesthetic that was put in place with the different instruments, such as there were like sort of piano parts there, maybe some keys there, some interesting sort of synth leads that kind of were peppered over top there, and some of the transfers. The bass line underneath was funky as hell. I love the tone of those basses there. That's more common nowadays than it used to be. I kind of adore the fact that we have that kind of sparkle and glow to it. Because basses were kind of dry up until the 2010s, and then they went back to being kind of 80s again. It's the drums were fine. They kept us going. They weren't the focal point. They're supportive. They were pocketing. The song got to a point after that saxophone solo, which was a great sort of alternate lead to the voice and was nicely sort of like phrasing some of the key points of the main melody plus its own sort of direction. I just don't think we necessarily needed that last chorus. I know that like it's like fashionable to sort of fade it out and have like that kind of like extra time there to really appreciate it. I think you could have potentially have had the saxophone come back on top of that at the end and sing over top of that if we are looking for a fade out. I understand that there are songs that they made like back in the 80s where they had a lot of those kind of like solo-ish fade outs where they had lead instrument reunite with the main vocalist and kind of both do the thing over top and then fade out because it got too busy. I feel like that's the only thing they could have potentially improved this in my humble opinion. Just for that bit of adjustment there, because we had the whole of the chorus and then I thought we were going to have it again. Yeah, aside from maybe needed a return to that saxophone at the end, I think otherwise it was a really well written track and well performed there. Great sort of chemistry between the musicians involved there. We established a motif with that where it was kind of very kind of trendy. There were some jazzy infusions there with the extended chords there. The quarter note accent kept us moving forward at a slow, steady pace. It had a romanticism about it with the way that we were singing. Paul says, I think this is a song about cheating. I wouldn't be surprised by that. But it's a very gentle song about cheating at the same time. There's no harshness to it or anything like that. I don't think we're trying to over-dramatize it. And yeah, I think otherwise it was a fantastic song. I'm grateful to have heard it. Thank you to Paul7931 for putting that through. I'm grateful for that request. I like Akina Nakamori's music from what I've heard there. This is probably... I wouldn't say this is my favorite track I've heard from her, but it's definitely a song I do like from them, I think. And I don't think it was a situation where remastering it was a detriment. It can be the case sometimes where people remaster stuff and it kind of arguably lessens the effect of the original kind of like it doesn't sound as great as it might have before, if that makes sense. Does that make sense at all? Like they kind of sterilize it and make it a bit too clean sounding. There's no harsh edges. But either way, thank you, Paul, for that. I appreciate it. This is a track from Judith. Thank you, Judith, for this one. I think we had a few from you today. Let us do this. This is from Starship Trooper by Yes. Yeah, if it's over 5 minutes, we're probably not going to be able to listen to it in full. But Judith, what are you learning it on? Is it on the keys? Is it guitar? Bass? Drums? Yeah, it's probably 5 minutes of this, I think. But we'll still listen through 5 minutes, so thank you, Judith, for this. It's so busy, isn't it? Nice, Judith. Cool. Respect. The mix is very uneven, but I kind of still dig it. I think they recorded it in mono, to be fair. So is that a bass guitar with vibrato on it, or tremolo?
Speak to me of summer, long winters longer than time can remember. Setting above other roads to travel on in old accustomed ways. I still remember the talks by the water, the proud sons and daughters that knew the knowledge of the land, spoke to me in sweet accustomed ways.
Oh. I'm sorry, what?
Loneliness is a power that we possess to give or take away forever. All I know can be shown by your acceptance of the facts they're shown before you. Take what I say in a different way, and it's easy to say that this is all confusion. As I see every day in me, I can also show with you, and you may follow.
And the panning, dude. Oh, it goes so slowly, but I love that. Wow.
Speak to me.
And that's the halfway point. But I'm sad to say that because that sounded like it was building into something. Starship Trooper by Yes. What do we think this track is about?
So can't see.
I just I don't know how to take this one. I mean, I'm looking at the lyrics. Is it about someone like looking up at the sky, wanting to hear stories, but then oh man, I don't know. It's like we want to hear stories. We want to hear stories about summer and winter in the world and everything like that because I remember the stories by the waters and everything like that. And they understand the place about them, but they're also looking at life maybe from like a wider lens and sort of like trying to. Is this a story about kind of the Starship Trooper is seeing the world from outside of the world's perspective, and you're kind of trying to understand life better and sort of like our own awareness of ourselves and the world around us? Is that it? I want another go at this song in my own time. I'm not quite sure what this track's about. I want to sort of like have more time to contextualize the lyrics. But yeah, I kind of get the feeling that like, yeah, there's stuff they do and don't want to know, and I'm getting too sort of in the mire with that. The track itself is a mixture of fun elements from the drums to the bass, and then the guitar takes there.
Speak to me of some
And there's also an organ or like some kind of thing going on there on the sides there. It's interesting the way things have been panned. They have like the bass on one side, and then they have
long winters longer than time can
they have more of like a focus.
remember. Setting
They have the guitars on the other side and the bass on the other side. The bass on the left side and the guitar on the right side. And the vocals are in the center. And then the drums are kind of dancing around the place. The panning decisions in this track kind of threw me off a bit. But I appreciate the fact that the song almost seems more sort of like interstellar because of that. It seems wider because they're kind of putting things in sort of less kind of like predictable positions. The singer can sing. They've got vague vocal technique and they're really palatable to listen to. And they have a great presence within the mix, and they just absolutely nail the performance. They're not a note out of place. They are not over. They haven't done any stuff in post. They can just they have great pipes. And there's a lot of different guitarists within it, lots of interesting ideas with the chord progressions, moving between both major and minors, as well as some sort of like chromatic parts there. It's never predictable. Like in that 3 minute part that we went sort of like some kind of chicken picking, like country style bit going on there with the vocals and the vocals on the sides there. It was wild, man. It was wild how we split things, and then we come back into this sort of like dreamlike, sort of like mesmerizing occasion with the way the guitars are panned around things, and we had the vocals and the falsetto range going up and surrounding us, and it's almost like when the things were like panning towards the center, it was like the Star Trooper orbiting around the Earth, but in our own headphones. The sound design was stellar within this. It's a song that invokes a positivity through the progressions, the ideas it has within it. There's some occasional bits of sadness there, but like it never gets too dark. And again, that sort of faster section with the different tempo of the fingerstyle invokes that we feel like we want to understand the world more around us, and we have a hope for the future, even if we're not necessarily sure of all the mysteries or don't know the whole of it. Did that make sense? I'm hoping that kind of made sense there. Studio recording, mixing, and mastering. It was just a very sort of unusual mix. I didn't necessarily know if things were leveled on the sides, but I also feel like that was an actual deliberate creative decision on their part that they were being more experimental with the way they put the different elements together in post. I think that again the panning decisions, they clearly know what they're doing with the panning, with the automation of the volume going from like the right to the center with that one element there in that later shift, and the composition is it's through composed. There, we do have moments where we go back to a chorus, but it's definitely no traditional A-B or anything like that. It's very much an adventure. So TLDR, the song is an adventure. It makes the most of its 9.5 minutes. There's no filler throughout. Vocal performance tight, and the instrumental performances alongside of it were captivating. It was a fantastic track to listen to, and I feel like you need to understand the whole of its context to really kind of get like you need the whole song in order to like figure it out. I feel like there's going to be some secrets at the end. But Judith, thank you for your requests. Wish best of luck with learning it on the drums. Paul likes their arrangement. I like their arrangement too. And Judith says, I always feel like I'm in heaven listening to their songs. I can understand that. I've listened to Roundabout, in part because of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but also because Roundabout is a great song. And they are incredible musicians. Again, the fingerstyle on the guitar there was absolutely superb there. And again, the drummer as well knowing to sort of keep things relatively minimalist. I didn't talk about the drums or really any of the instrumental parts here, but very, 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 very quickly, because I know I've got to do one more track today. The drums were minimalist, and I think that was a smart thing to do. If we'd overcomplicated the grooves within this and not allowed sort of more room for the vocals, guitars, bass, etc. to do their thing with a severe panning, it would have almost been a little bit too complicated. There needed to be that space in order to sort of like just focus on the storytelling, the lyricism, and stuff like that. It's a point where like having less is more, I think, and I understood the balance there in terms of equilibrium. So, thank you, Judith. They do. They have. I'd say the third season of JoJo's intro theme is one of my favorite intro themes. But yeah. Sup, Shredders? Just thanks for your requests. So far, I'm going to be closing the queue now. I'll do the last for today, Rufos. So I'm closing the stream now. This will be the last one for today. I just want to make sure that we get tracks done. I've also got work in about half an hour or so, or an hour after this. But before we finish today, one more track from Rufo after Judith's awesome pick. For your request. And this is from an act named Eason Chan. Awesome, let's do it. Oh, it's pretty. A lonely patient. So just translated, this is the lonely patient as I understand it. Lyrics. Beautiful guitar line at the start, by the way. 掉眼泪是用笑掩过，怕人看破，顾虑好多，不谈寂寞，我们就都快活。我不唱声嘶力竭的情歌，不表示没有心碎的时刻。 曾摊开伤口，任宰割愈合，就无人晓得我内心挫折。我像个孤独患者，自我拉扯。外向的孤独患者有何不可 ？Right. Great balance of instruments and vocals at the moment. 笑越大声，越是残忍。挤满体温，室温更冷。万一关灯，空虚扰人，我却不能喊等一等。你说你爱我，却一直说我不该窝在角落，策划逃脱，这也有错，连我脆弱的权利都掠夺。我不唱声嘶力竭的情歌，不表示没有心碎的时刻。我不曾摊开伤口任宰割愈合，就无人晓得我内心挫折。我像个孤独患者，自我拉扯。外向的孤独患者有何不可？ Oh, great interlude. And the flowery strings is gorgeous. Did we go up into a high range, our head voice for that last part? Fantastic question mark ending. They really did sort of like, it was an uncertain ending there. It was unexpected. That pause there, that dramatic sort of pregnant pause there was really clever because it's like, oh, is that the fade out? And boom, you get the big finish. The whole band, including the strings. So that was from an act named Eason Chan, titled The Lonely Patient. Now, what do I think this track is about? I mean, like, the thing that's so effective about that intro part, even though I'm not necessarily sure what the track is about, apart from potentially or probably being about a lonely patient, is you get Eason, and he doesn't ever get sort of super positive and upbeat and cheery about it. So you get the impression this is someone that's really going through a time. It has a balladesque kind of format, despite the fact that it starts off quite strong with the guitars and the piano and everything like that. It eventually, inevitably, encourages bass, drums, strings, keys, and I don't know if we ever necessarily get back to that lead solo that we had there. Like, we're basically, I think that lead guitar solo is kind of like more of a sort of an entrance, an interesting sort of like way to start things, and then you have the vocals as a focal point for the majority of the rest of the time, which is totally fine. Because he's a great singer. Fantastic head and chest voice there, very comfortable in his range there, doesn't try to sort of go too close to where the strings are in the mid to upper ranges there. Apart from some of the sort of like more subtle head voicing, sort of falsetto-ish bits we have near the end, or mixed voice stuff, which is kind of cool. But we venture forth with that. And we had different twists and turns there, as well as like a dedicated interlude section, which is a nice little bit of transition shift to be able to appreciate the motif. And he's more of an instrument in this part, right? But it's just like the weight of the instruments. It's the weight of those strings there in that range there, doing call and responses between him and them. You know, like they're answering the beck and call there, going in the low, and to allow Eason to kind of fly high for a little bit before coming up. And just the way that we have those kind of jazzy extensions on the pianos, combined with the way that the strings reinforce and iterate upon certain parts of the triads within the scale shapes and modes and key progressions, with the drums, can stick into sort of a more sort of conservative ethno groove with occasional 16ths of transitions with fills. It's ultimately a track which is well fleshed out compositionally, structurally, the transfers between bits are great. Harmonically, the progressions are never too predictable, and I appreciate the fact we have several distinct sections throughout to keep things more interesting. And yeah, I mean, when Judith says Eason is the kind of singer who can make any song relevant and personal, I completely agree with that. I think it does make them his own. This seems like it's their story that they're telling, and that's exactly what you want in a position like this. You want the song to be believable, especially if there's any amount of emotional depth to the music itself, or let alone to the lyrics. And again, just that I love that final section there with that kind of really stellar, unpredictable kind of like lack of resolution at the end there, where he kind of like, you get the impression that he's either asked a question there with the way the instruments handle things at the end, or he's never sure if he's going to get that resolution he wants. So I think ultimately it's a really well-written track there with great chemistry between the singer and the elements within the arrangement. Performance is pretty tight without a note out of place. And the theme itself was sounding uncertain, and the extension's adding depth. It never gets too happy or sad. It still tries to remain relatively sort of accessible in terms of its actual sort of like textures and times within, but great piece. I can understand why it's successful. Thank you to Rufo for the request. And most important, also, to be fair, just as importantly, thank you for watching this live stream today. This was, $5 song reviews, and we have done the queue today. We have had songs from Dinner Hey, and Shin Yida, and Jacob, and Judith, and Rufo, and Paul7931. Thank you to all of you who have put tracks through today. I appreciate that. It's also been good just to have people kind of hang out and just listen to music. If you've hopefully you found a new song today, even listen to that you like. Either way, hopefully it was good. Hopefully you guys have a fantastic start to the week. I'm sure it's Monday for some of you. Hopefully your Mondays are all right. If it's not over, best of luck. Tuesday here today. Please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever. With all the crazy stuff going on in the world, we're going to have another one of these in 2 days' time as per usual. Same time, same place. Remember that you can go, there's like a Discord link as well as like Patreon and YouTube stuff. But the Discord, I'm going to try and do a bit more with as well. I've been trying to figure out how Discord works, because it'd be nice to sort of have that a bit more active if that's of interest to people. Either way, it's fine. Yeah. Have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you on the next live stream. Spiderhands out. 3, 2, 1, go.